Good afternoon, Mr. President. Thank you for joining us today. You became president in 1850 after the sudden death of President Zachary Taylor. How did your past experiences help you prepare for this unexpected role? Good afternoon. When I became president, it was certainly unexpected, but my time as a U.S. Congressman and chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee gave me experience in dealing with laws and managing the economy. As New York State Comptroller, I also learned a lot about handling finances. These experiences helped me when I took on the presidency, as I was used to solving problems in practical, realistic ways. One of the biggest challenges he faced was the Compromise of 1850, which was meant to deal with the growing conflict over slavery. Can you explain your role in this and why you decided to support it? Yes, the country was in a very tough spot. The issue of slavery was creating huge divisions between the North and South, and I believe that preserving the Union was the most important thing. As chief executive, I decided to support the Compromise of 1850, which was a package of laws designed to balance the interests of both sides. One of the most controversial parts was the Fugitive Slave Act, which required runaway slaves to be returned to their owners. I knew this was a difficult decision, but I thought it was necessary to keep the peace for a little longer, even though it didn't solve the problem. The Fugitive Slave Act was very unpopular in the North. How did you feel about enforcing it, knowing how much it upset people? It was not an easy choice. On one hand, as president, I had to enforce the laws that were part of the Compromise of 1850, even though they were controversial. Personally, I didn't support slavery, but I felt it was my duty to do whatever I could to keep the Union together. Looking back, I see that this decision made the divisions between the North and South even worse, and it didn't prevent the Civil War, which was a tragedy. You also made an important decision in foreign policy. You helped open Japan to American trade with the Perry expedition. Can you tell us more about that? As chief diplomat, I knew that expanding trade with other countries was important for the United States. Japan had been closed off from the rest of the world for over 200 years, and I thought it was time to change that. I sent Commodore Matthew Perry to Japan with the goal of opening trade between our two nations. It was a bold move, but I believed it would be beneficial for both countries. In 1854, the Treaty of Kanagawa was signed, and it marked the beginning of trade relations between Japan and the U.S. Your presidency is often described as cautious and pragmatic. How did these personal traits affect your decisions? I've always believed in taking a practical approach to problems. I didn't look for dramatic solutions or big changes. Instead, I focused on making compromises to keep the country stable, especially during such a difficult time. My pragmatism led me to support the Compromise of 1850, even though it wasn't a perfect solution. My caution sometimes kept me from taking bolder actions that might have been necessary, but I always tried to avoid unnecessary conflict. Looking back, how do you think history will remember your presidency? I think history will remember me as someone who tried to keep the Union together during a very challenging time. I made some difficult decisions, especially with the Fugitive Slave Act, but I believe that compromise was the best way to preserve the nation. My legacy may be mixed, but I hope people will see that I did my best to steer the country through some very tough moments. Thank you, Mr. President, for sharing your thoughts with us today. It's been great speaking with you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to reflect on those years.